Welcome back everyone, Scoriox here. Today we're going to talk about the synergies in Illuvium and kind of which ones I think will be really strong in the game and some of the ones that will be a bit weaker, of the ones that we've had revealed, of their abilities at least. Alright, welcome back. I'm Scoriox, where I do the maths and you do the DJing. And as always, I'm not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice, and please always do your own research. But this is going to be an awesome video and we're going to jump into all the synergies. Let's do it. As always, if you could please like and subscribe down below, I would really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I'm almost at 1,500 subs, hoping for 2K by the end of January, but we'll see how we go. But I'm growing really quickly and it's all thanks to all of you guys and all the lovely comments, liking the video, everything like that means a lot to me. As promised, if you get 250 likes on yesterday's video, I will definitely be uploading that tier maker even quicker. And that's going to be the same for this one. 250 likes. If we get it, then I'll upload this one as well, even faster. All right. I've also actually updated the previous one, so it's going to be even better than it was in that video, because lots of people came forward, helped me out, gave me some different resources and things, and I adjusted it as soon as I could. So it's all ready to go. All right. Now the synergies. I'm going to really quickly show you my screen here. Here are kind of all the synergies that we've had revealed so far. All right, actually wait, this is every single synergy in the game at this point. I don't think any more are going to be added before the game is released. I'll show you some graphics I made that kind of demonstrate this in a second. But yeah, so I believe there's 40 total, because all of these go into the other one. So I'll just show you the graphic because that'll be easier. So in this example, you have the elements graphic, and I made a graphic for the other synergies as well. Anything with a description below it is what we've had revealed. Now, of course, this is all subject to change before the game releases. So anything said in this video isn't like gospel, but as soon as things change and we have enough information, I'll definitely be updating this sort of video and doing some more theory crafting. And there are lots of people in the Discord that are even better at it than me, so I'm definitely going to jump into it with them. Also, special credits to Kuki from Polemos. He gave me some really cool resources for these to help me make these graphics specifically. And it was a really big help. It made my life a lot easier, so big thanks to him. And I'll be putting these in the Discord when I get the chance as well. I want to make sure they're even better than they are right now. But yeah, so you'll notice in all these, there's a crossover, right? You have water and water makes maelstrom, water and earth makes mud. And the reason this bottom left half is empty is because it would just be the duplicate of the top right half. So it's empty for now, and I'm going to see if I can make some graphics and update this to better suit that. But you can see that, yeah, so that's why there are 40 total, 20 of the elements and 20 of the synergies, because the 5 times 5 and it ends up with 20 in total, including that initial 5, right? So yeah, so now let me try and explain some of the basics of the synergies. For example, the water synergy provides faster energy regen, okay? And nature means that when an alluvial drops below a threshold, they get a percentage of their max health healed to them over a certain period of time. That's how they currently work. Now, the poison synergy, which is the combination of both of them, okay? Those synergies, they're not all the same, they're not all like this, but more often than not, they have kind of 3 unique abilities. So they have their water, in this case, the water-based one, the nature-based one, and the special poison one. In this case, the special poison one is, I think they just get both of those things, but they get it all together over time. They don't need to wait for any dropping below a certain amount of health or having a certain amount of things and stuff like that. So, but usually to trigger this last one, to trigger any of them, but this one in particular, you will need a certain amount of illuvials on the board. Now, this sort of concepts are really hard to explain in the time I have because I want to get into the tier list, but they work very similar to Teamfight Tactics and Dota Auto Chess if you play those games. But basically, poison might have different tiers of strength at 2 poisons on the field, 3 poisons, 4 poisons, and so on. But they also get other boosts based on how many water and nature illuvials you have in the field. And this leaves a lot of what Aaron likes to call simplexity. There is very finite amount of synergies and elements and things like that, but they create a very complex level of strategy because of all the different ways they can combine and go together. And this works in a certain way with 150 illuvials, but what happens when you have 500 illuvials in 3-4 years down the line? It gets even more complicated, even though you didn't actually change the core values. So it's going to be really interesting stuff, and I'm going to use some of this information I have to try and see which synergies I like the best at this point. But I'm going to go in them one by one, otherwise I'm just going to over confuse myself, to say the least. All right, so let's just do the elemental ones first, the fire, water, air sort of ones, all right? At the moment, these are my current tiers. S for overpowered. Oh, it's really sad that it cut it off. No, that didn't fix it. Okay, S for overpowered. A for strong. B needs good synergy to really work well. You can't rely on itself so much. C may surprise us, but I don't really think it's going to do that much. Not as it stands. And D, ones that I'm really not sure about and kind of don't think are very strong. Okay, so water. Now, I'm going to chuck my little cheat sheets on the other monitor at the moment. Otherwise, it's just going to get way too messy. So I'm going to stick with that for now. Apologies. Okay, so water. Basically, what we know about this is that it gives you faster energy regen. Basically, what that'll mean is if it takes you 10 energy to cast an ability, now you will get to that 10 energy faster than other illuvials typically. Okay? Faster energy regen. So these probably aren't really going to go above A because they're the basic synergies. But overall, faster energy regen is usually okay. But quite frankly, it hasn't really gone that far in all the seasons of Teamfight Tactics that I've played up to this point. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I'm going to leave it in B. Earth. More grit and resolve. This is a very defensive one. I think it's better than water, but it's one of those ones that's very team-oriented. You need to have a very specific amount of tanks and backliners in your squad to make the tanks effective and worthwhile with Earth. But we don't know. Grit and Resolve might be particularly good. At this point, I'm assuming Grit is armor and Resolve is energy resistance, resists magical powers and that sort of thing. Fire. After the Omega, the next attack does energy splash damage. This one, I don't know what to make of it. This could be good or bad. I think it's going to be stronger than these two for sure. But it's really going to depend on how much energy really plays into it. So from what I read and what my understanding is that energy attacks are going to be magic based and physical attacks are going to be physical based. And they're just going to depend on the illuvials and kind of how they go about it. There's the equivalent in Teamfight Tactics is simply ability power versus attack damage. And the equivalent in Pokemon would be attack versus special attack. I hope some of my audience kind of knows what I'm talking about there. But yeah, so if you're confused, just leave a comment down below. I'll try to explain it a bit better. And if you want to see a video of me going more in depth on how the games might pan out and the sort of strategies that you might need to incorporate, I can definitely get one of those videos done as well. It'd be a lot of fun to make. All right, so the next one, nature. Drop below the threshold and then you get percentage max health healing. From memory, when I read this, it was something like below 50% health and you get like 20-30% heal at even the first tier of it. So that seems to be pretty strong. I'm going to chuck it above Earth for now because I think stats-wise it's quite big, but it might need to be nerfed early on because that could be a little bit too strong. But it all depends. Like often in games like this, you have things like, you have something like the nature alluvial, and its attack power is particularly weak compared to other ones because it has all these healing effects to do with it. Okay, so air. More agility, which is essentially dodge chance in my understanding. This one is an interesting one. I'm going to chuck it below fire for now. Now, we don't know exactly how much dodge chance this is going to give an alluvial. And if it gives it something really high that we don't expect, this could go straight to the top of the list, but it would definitely have to be nerfed and changed. Okay, so let's jump on to these next ones here. things like Maelstrom, Mud, Steam, and Poison and Frost, they all have water inside them. Now, what that means is we don't have all of this revealed, and it does change depending on them, but at this point, for the most part, they will have their own ability and some extension of the energy regen ability for the water. All right. This starts to get really, really interesting. So the first thing I'm actually going to look at based on that is I'm going to go to Fire, Cross, Air on my chart, and I'm going to look at Inferno. Now, we don't have the details of what this ability does, but based on the fact that it probably gives them some extra damage while being able to dodge a lot of attacks, this could be particularly strong. So I'm going to chuck it up there just based on the fact that I have Fire and Air up here. Okay, Maelstrom. This one is water on water, so they're probably going to get their abilities really, really quickly. There's a good chance that they're going to need backup to get this to work really well. I know some of the synergies do things like boost the power of your entire team. So I think someone on this team that has the Maelstrom synergies and then someone else in the back helping them boost their damage is mean they're going to be shooting off lots of powerful abilities really quickly. But since it really needs a lot of backup to do its job particularly well from what we know so far, I'm going to have to chuck it down in May Surprise Us for now. It needs, I think it's going to need a lot of synergy to work well, but shouldn't be underestimated at the same time. That being said, it might have an ability where it just grants lots of energy regen to your entire team, and it might be really good. So again, if we don't have the knowledge of it for now, I'm going to have to speculate a bit, so please bear with me. Okay, now Mud. Mud is a really good one. Faster energy regen and a lot more defensive. Maybe if they have a defensive Omega ability, which is kind of like their ultimate from a lot of games. You build up to it and then you cast it and it does some really awesome thing and then you have to build up to it again. If they have a really powerful defensive one, they'd get it really fast, be defensive to begin with, then cast it really often. So that could be really good. So you're starting to see already that a lot of this is based on the Illuvials and what they can bring to these synergies as well. So, but for that, I think it's going to be quite good. I don't think it's going to be like super strong or anything, but I think it will be really useful in most teams. It might be good for starting teams and things like that. Now, Steam, Fire and Water, faster energy regen, and extra ability damage when you get it. Yeah, that's strong. That's going to have to go up the top here for now. I might just chuck Inferno down here instead, because again, Steam, we don't know the actual ability yet, so I'm going to leave it there for now. Now, Poison, we do know the ability for that one, and you get faster energy regen, which is the water side of it, and you get a percentage of max health healing over time. So they're getting a lot of energy and a lot of health. They're going to kind of be the sages and healers of the thing. I think they also, I don't know why it's not written here, but I think they also had a poisoning ability where they poison someone and then they sap health from them in some way or something, but I can't remember. I think they're going to be okay, but I'm not too huge on them so far, so I'm going to leave them on good synergy. Frost, which is air and water. Again, a very sage-like thing, and I think they're going to be really good, but from memory, there are some of the ones later here, they're going to be even better. So I'm just going to leave Frost. I think the dodge chance, if these synergies are getting it, the dodge chance is so strong. It's definitely going to be, I'm going to have to see how it plays out. I don't quite know how it works. Okay, Granite. We don't have the details for this one either. We really only have a handful, unfortunately. So I'm definitely going to be doing another one of these in the future, updating my graphics and everything. Do not worry. Granite is Earth and Earth, so super defensive. One thing something I did forget to mention is these little numbers here. That, from my memory, typically indicates how many of them you will need to get the boost to begin with. You can boost it after that, but that's the initial. So some of these are harder to acquire than others. That's probably why Fire is 4. So that's maybe should be lower than Air because it's a lot harder to trigger. Poison is 6, so it definitely should be down there. I think it's going to be a bit too tricky. And the same thing with Maelstrom. Granite's going to be super defensive. I think it's going to be better than a lot of these. But being a 4, it's a big cost to your team to have 4 tanks. That's what I'm imagining these Earth Illuvials being like. It's going to be a big hindrance, so I'm going to leave it there for now. Magma. Okay, so the Magma one we do know. So when you cast your Omega ability, Your percentage max energy is dealt as damage every second to your opponent. And then you also get more grit and resolve based on the earth elementals you have. The earth illuvial, sorry. This is doing percentage max energy as damage over time, essentially to your opponents. I think this could be really powerful. I'm going to chuck magma right at the top for now. Unless something changes, I'm probably going to go for a magma illuvial off the bat, because that seems really, really powerful. Okay, bloom. This one is nature and earth. So defensive and healing, probably one of the better tank setups with only a 2 cost. I'd have to put it above granite. It could be quite good. Sorry, I needed a deep breath. Okay, dust. Dust, I think, is a really cool like element. Like, I've heard a lot of these in other games and things, but dust being earth and air, really unique. I quite like it, and the design for it's really nice too. But dodge chance and defensive, also very, very good. But being a 6 cost, I might have to chuck it below granite for now. Conflagration. Now we have the information for this one. Conflagration, when you cast your Omega ability, it makes the target vulnerable, and attacking whenever any of your allies attack it, it heals all your allies. All of them. When I first read this, I thought it was a joke. This just seems way too crazy. I'm really excited to see that one play out. I think that's actually my favorite one so far. I really want to see how some of the other ones do and their abilities. But at the moment, the conflagration ability seems really cool. I'm so excited for it. Okay, shock. Add dodge chance for all your air alluvials. And when you dodge, it shoots out a lightning bolt that bounces at many opponents. And this amount of opponents increases depending on how many shock alluvials you have on the board. I don't know how much damage that bolt is going to do, but it seems really good to me. I'm going to chuck it right up here. Below Inferno. I still think Inferno is going to be quite good. But it could be really, really good. I'm very excited. Okay, overgrowth. This one's an interesting one. So overgrowth is nature and nature. So basically just going to give you a ton of healing. Being a 3 cost, I think, is quite good. I'm still going to chuck it below dust. Because again, but if it gives healing, we don't know yet, but if it gives healing to your entire team, then, well, that's pretty insane. That's really, really useful, especially for 3 cost. If that was 4 or 5, I'd probably put it lower. But I might actually chuck it up here, just because of that. Spore and Tempest are my last 2. So Spore, we do know this one. It gives you more dodge chance because of the air affinity, and it heals after the dodge, reduces % damage of alluvials after death. So you heal after you dodge, and then you reduce a percentage damage of the alluvial after they take you out. So say Ramfire hits your Atlas and it's get knocked out, then the Ramfire has something like 50% for 5 seconds reduced damage. This could be really, really good, especially at a 2 cost. I'm going to actually chuck this right at the top here. I think it's going to be a really interesting ability, for sure. Okay. And now Tempest. So Tempest is air and air, so probably lots of dodge chance, speed, attack speed maybe. Hard to say. I think air is really powerful, so I'm going to chuck this above Inferno for now. Okay, so this video is going a bit long. I'm going to break it up into 2 parts so it's a bit easier for people to digest. Just quickly, as a quick summary, it's quite clear that fire is very strong. Conflagration and magma I've put as my top 2 because the attack damage output seems to be a pretty big deal. Spore, I've actually put it up here, which is nature air, because it reduces your opponent's damage output. So from what I've seen of all these lists, the damage output seems to be quite good, but you're definitely going to want a lot of these healers and sages and things at the back of your lines to help all the rest of your alluvials for sure. But some of these defensive cores, things like granite, mud and earth, or granite and mud, they just cost so many tanks to get set up. I'm not imagining 10 alluvials on a board. I'm imagining closer to 4 or 5. So if your whole thing is built with just tanks, I don't know how well it's going to work. So I'm definitely eager to see it moving forward for sure. All right, so I'm going to wrap this one up. I'll do the other synergies in the next video, so definitely make sure to catch that. But yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to make, a lot of fun to look at all this stuff. I'm definitely going to upload those little graphics in the near future after my next video is posted, of course. Have a good evening, guys. For America, I think you still have a bit of your weekend left, so enjoy. Hey everyone, thanks for watching the video. I hope that you'll watch that next video up in the top right hand corner, or don't, but I really do appreciate it. Please like and subscribe down below, and I'll catch you all in the next one.